part 69 of this unending genocidal extravaganza. We're just going to pick up right where we left off. Take it, Lobar.
And so the theory is that moral obligations arise as a result of imperatives issued by the paradigm of goodness himself, who is God.
Hold on. How do we know that? How do we even know that God exists? You're just going to assume God exists and then add another assumption on top of that, that this God of whom we have absolutely no demonstrable, repeatable, actionable knowledge is the paradigm of goodness? Based on what? Has Bill read any history? Is he aware of how horridly cruel natural selection is? If God exists, Bill, he created that. Does Bill know anything about life on Earth and how this place is brimming with evil? I mean, I know you really want him to be a good guy. I get it. Because he loves you. He loves Bill Craig. But Jesus, dude, get a clue.
Presumably, God doesn't issue commands to himself as to what he should do. And therefore, on this theory, God has no moral obligations to fulfill. And therefore, as you rightly said, it's impossible that God could do something wrong because right and wrong are defined by divine commands, and God doesn't issue commands to himself.
Oh, how convenient. I do get lost, though, every now and then in this conversation because I can't remember if Bill is talking about God or Trump. Bill's language is so sloppy. Quote, presumably, God doesn't issue commands to himself, end quote. How does Bill know that? On what basis does he make this presumption? He doesn't know, and he doesn't have any basis for this presumption. We're talking about a made-up character of whom no one knows anything. In fact, I'm glad to see Bill constantly referring to all of this over and over again as a theory, because that's literally all it is. Bill has absolutely no knowledge of this supernatural realm and the supernatural beings who allegedly live there. He's literally just talking out of his ass, which is what Christians do best, maybe. Quote, right and wrong are defined by divine commands, end quote. Says who? Bill and his theory? I'm sure he has other friends and colleagues who agree. Ooh, so what? As my dear friend Aaron Ra likes to say, what can you show, Bill? Nothing.
So God doesn't have the same sort of moral constraints that we do because he doesn't have moral obligations to fulfill. He has to act only in consistency with his own nature.
Well, that nature is fucking horrific. That nature allowed him to create this mess filled with sentient beings who are constantly suffering and in pain. That nature allows for baby rape. That nature allows for Ted Dahmer and Adolf Hitler. That nature allows him to order humans to commit genocide when it never had to happen. He could have cleared out the Canaanites with famine or flooding or whatever. He could have gone all Pine Creek Doug on the Canaanites and poofed them right out of existence. This is the figure you're looking to for morality?
When you think of it in those terms, Alex, the problem posed by the conquest narrative is as follows. It's very similar to the problem of evil, that there is a sort of internal inconsistency between two propositions affirmed by the Judeo-Christian faith. The first would be that God is all just and all loving. And the second, in this case, would be that God has issued a command to Israel to drive out the Canaanites on pain of death from the land. And so my argument is that those two propositions are completely consistent with each other because God wrongs no one in issuing such a command. And if he wrongs no one, then there is no moral constraint on his issuing such a command.
Hey, Bill. Here on planet Earth, where we have to try and work out actual morality, not just this theoretical nonsense you offer, we've decided that it's not up to you to say when another human being has been wronged, especially when you're killing them, their wives, their babies, pets, livestock, and literally taking everything from them. In fact, I can't imagine a single person on the planet other than yourself who would not consider such people wronged. Were you raised by wolves? No, of course not. I apologize. Wolves are far more communal and caring. My apologies to my wolf friends. There's still more to come in this genocidal extravaganza. In our next episode, we'll find out if our good buddy Low-Bar Bill can get both of his feet in his mouth at the same time, and if that makes him want to kill babies even more. Start putting your bets down now. Until then, I'm me. Thanks for watching.